Hi everyone, and welcome to our Facebook Live event. We are pretty excited to be launching our new web series, the BombBomb Mailbag today.
Mailbag.
Mailbag. Hi everyone.
Whoa.
That was live. I'm actually listening to you live, so as you see me right now, I'm seeing your comments. So remember that, ask questions. And I am here with Ethan Butte, our VP of Marketing, and Jonathan Bolton, our VP of Customer Success. And we are essentially the people that when you write us in anything as a cancellation feedback, NPS score, social media, we are a lot of the front lines and the people seeing it and responding. So we thought we would be the right people to kind of talk to you about this new launch, this series. So do you want to do some intros?
Yeah, I'm Ethan.
Hi,
She's
Ethan.
Allie.
Welcome.
JB, Biebs, Bieber. And so, yeah, we get a ton of feedback.
Bieber.
Oh, sorry. So we get a ton of feedback, obviously through social, obviously through, we mentioned a couple of our customer success platforms, and we take all of it very, very seriously. We look at everything, we respond as well as we possibly can, and the philosophy here is that if one person thinks it, a bunch of people probably think it. If someone wonders about it and asks about it, probably a lot of other people do. So this mailbag series, we're going to start sharing some of the things that people are writing to us. JB, talk to us a little bit about some of the ways that we use feedback specifically to improve our service.
Yeah, good question. So your voice is really important here at BombBomb. And I think we, as I talk to other tech industry peers, I'm really proud of the work that we do in terms of making sure that your voice gets to the rest of the business. One of the first things that I did when I started here, I was employee number 9 and I was answering the phones. And one of the very first things I did was put a customer satisfaction survey in the support desk software that we were using. Because I needed to know, like, are we solving problems or what? And then as people would respond to it, I would take those verbatims and where appropriate, I'd feed them back to the business, right? So flash forward, 5.5 years, nearly 6 years now into the deal, and the feedback that we get now is not just from customer satisfaction, which is when you call like our customer care team and they say, hey, how'd we do? But we also have all these different channels that are coming in, like our Net Promoter Score. If you're familiar with NPS, you've all seen these in your inbox, but it's the survey that says, how likely are you to recommend BombBomb to a friend or colleague? And you rate us on a score of 0 to 10, and then we say, hey, you gave us a 9, would you mind telling us why? And you put in some verbatim feedback there. We also have feedback when you cancel your account. Hey, let us know, why are you leaving? All of those channels right now actually pipe into live chat, basically chat feeds that the whole business has visibility into. So literally the verbatims that we have verbatims, your comments rolling in for the entire customer to see. Everyone on the executive leadership team, everyone in the company, from your sales rep to your customer success team to the customer care folks answering your phone to our marketing team, can see that information verbatim as it comes through. And so back in the olden days, we used to, like Ethan and I used to comb through it and like try and get like the gist of it, right? And then
try to identify themes, copy and paste the comments.
Yeah, we take it into leadership meetings and we're like, okay, this is what we're hearing. Well, now there's such a direct line. Your voice has such a direct line into the rest of the business that by the time we roll into planning meetings with the leadership team, they've already heard these themes that are coming up. So it helps us pivot much faster as we work to improve the product, take your feedback, answer your questions. So is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah, and I'll do just a quick tie to the core values. Our core values, for people that aren't familiar with them, we have 5, and they're all one word, so they're easy to remember. Fun, humility, flexibility, service, and relationship. And so this mailbag project that we're doing, how many are we doing, 1 a week?
Yeah, 1 a week.
So we'll release these questions where we read the feedback and kind of respond to them, and we'll see an example in a minute. But we're doing this in the spirit of service. Like, that's the thing that, it's the whole reason we set up all these channels and pay so much attention to the feedback, is to deliver and serve you more effectively. But we're also going to have some fun with it. That we need flexibility to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to be willing to share and address the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's a humility in that. We know we're not perfect, and we're always working to be better, and so your feedback helps. So let's see in a quick example of what mailbag might look like.
Yeah, this one is from JB actually.
Oh
we filmed
boy.
this last week, and it was pretty fun. So let's roll that.
Here's a comment from Peter. Peter writes, I couldn't get my webcam to work. It worked for the first month or two, and then no matter what I tried, it wouldn't work. Peter. Peter, webcams are super frustrating, but this is a little bit like blaming the gas station for your car not running. You see, we have very little control over your webcam. We're going to do everything we can to try and fix it, and our customer care team is amazing. But don't let it get you down. There are other webcams in the world. Go to the Geek Squad. They can help. Give us a call. We'd love to help you troubleshoot it. I promise you that if everyone's webcam didn't work, BombBomb would not be in business, and I think we can help you solve this problem. Folks, if your webcam doesn't work, give us a call. We will take really good care of you.
Mailbag!
Mailbag! So this is a funny one. Like, obviously, you can pick up a little bit of sarcasm in my tone there, right?
That's the fun.
Here's the thing though, when a customer, regardless of whether or not the error is on the fault of BombBomb, like, it doesn't matter from the customer's perspective.
No.
If the webcam doesn't work, the perception is BombBomb is broken. BombBomb never works for me. It's like it fails. And so that's, I think, one of the most challenging is when you get a piece of feedback. Like, by the way, like, when something breaks, we'll get hundreds of inquiries all of a sudden. And we've got all these alerts and dashboards where we're looking at the way the software is running in the background. So when something happens, like if the website, even if the website starts to slow down, we're getting notifications internally even before the phones start to ring. So when people call us one-off and they're like, listen, it's busted, we already know that there's a high likelihood that it's what we call environmental, which means it's something on their end. It doesn't matter. A lot of companies will say, well, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Go talk to somebody else, that's not my problem. But at BombBomb, we take a different position. It is our problem, because if you don't get that solved, even though I have little control over it, there's no way you're gonna like figure out how to use video and effectively communicate. So we have to do our best to try and help you solve that problem. And that's what I think makes, you know, Donovan and the rest of our customer care team, you know, so tops, is that they will literally like try and troubleshoot your, you know, 2-year-old computer's webcam for you. A lot of companies won't go to that.
Yeah.
Won't go to that length. So.
Yeah, and so that phone number, like your call to action, they're like, hey, call us, we'll talk to you. Like, all of those people that are answering that call are about 20 yards that way, all here in our Colorado Springs office, and they're awesome at it. And we're picking it up as early as 7 a.m. Mountain Time,
Yeah.
as late as 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah. So for those of you who are in, you know, customer service type professions, and most of you are, including if you're in sales, when you get these problems that you know are not your problem, if it's the problem for the customer achieving their desired outcome, it is if you don't close that gap, you're not gonna help the customer achieve their desired outcome. So you're not gonna win the sale, or you're not gonna retain the customer, whatever the case may be. So you have to get very creative about how you source that and solve that problem. Because if it's the customer's problem, it's your problem.
Yeah, and again, the whole spirit behind the mailbag and why we're going to read these things out loud and answer the questions and share some of the fun and hard and ugly and very positive. We'll share some positive ones too, positive feedback, is that, again, if one person has this if one person's struggling to get their webcam working, there are a lot of other people experiencing the same thing. And so I would also say, just to pat your team on the back, and Donovan's team on the back again, is good at categorizing these. And so those guys have seen a lot of it. They've seen it all, and so they're very good at coming up with solutions there. Do we have some questions? Are we getting questions?
Oh, Sean wants us to say the word verbatim one more time.
Verbatim.
Yeah, verbatim feedback.
Verbatims.
Verbatim feedback.
Yeah, and please, I'm sitting here typing, answering questions, so if you have any, let us know. And I think, you know, we talked about how we have all these real people here answering your customer success issues as quickly as possible. And it's also kind of funny because Ethan and I are constantly monitoring Facebook and Twitter, and
those don't ever turn off.
They don't turn off. And Instagram and everything, LinkedIn. And I think, you know, I've managed quite a few social media platforms, and I've realized, you know, I think people forget that people are even behind social media platforms, like a business page. You know, you absolutely forget someone's behind an email sometimes. And that's why video is so great. but you can also sometimes forget that someone's behind a Yelp page or someone's behind a Facebook account. So we get a ton of feedback on Facebook, especially with our ads. And recently our Ashley, who's on our training team, she was the face of our Overcome Your Fear guide. So we have an Overcome Your Fear webinar and a guide, and you can absolutely check it out on bombbomb.com/webinars. And it's just a simple one-to-one video, her talking about her fear that she originally had with being on camera and how she overcame that. And we got a ton of comments on it. We got 158,000 views, which was pretty major. And we didn't get the nicest comments on them sometimes either. So some of our mailbag comments were from this ad. So I think we should show a clip because Ashley does this webinar and she opened her webinar with this clip, and she'll be in the mailbag as well. So if we could roll that.
I started going through the comments, seeing if I could help any questions that people had, and I started noticing things like this. There were some really hateful, hurtful comments by people. This one in particular was, focusing on my credibility. And then there was another one that actually got blocked, but it said, you shouldn't use this girl. She has vocal fry, which for those of you who don't know what vocal fry is, it's a very high-pitched voice. Similar, if you think about it like the Valley Girl voice, it's that. And there were more, and some of them were the opposite, saying, it's easy to feel comfortable on camera when you're super hot and young. So you really can't win on either sides of the spectrum. And when I saw this, I was devastated. And I told my managers, I don't want to be in any more of these videos. I don't feel comfortable doing webinars anymore. And it even came up this morning. So I thought it would be a beneficial story to start things off with because I do videos and webinars and public speaking a lot, and it still affects me. So I want you to know that you're here for a reason. This is a safe place.
That was a pretty good clip. It's that aspect of humility as well, that, just addressing this in front of people who are already, nervous to get in front of camera.
Yeah, I think there are two main themes here. One is something that we've been talking about for a while since we read it. It was an editorial in the New York Times a couple years back now, but the epidemic of facelessness. Like, people are writing things to or about Ashley in that comments thread that they would never say if she was there in person, right? So that's this facelessness where we do things online, we write things online that we would never say if we actually had to face another human being, because it's just a much more direct human experience, and so we tend to back away from those. But somehow we're like these keyboard warriors where we can go out on a limb and say, some of that was, I would regard it as inappropriate, and maybe a little bit more aggressive than you would otherwise. So that's one of them, is knowing that there's a human behind this. That's another thing we want to do here with the mailbag, is show our faces and let you know that we hear you, and we want to respond to that and create a more human experience around this type of feedback. And then the other piece there is this vulnerability, right? So she retreated, like she emotionally retreated back away from these things that she's really good at, that are fundamental to her job, that she seems to enjoy because she wouldn't be doing them if she didn't enjoy them. But you get this kind of aggressive feedback, and it kind of drove her back a little bit. And that's one of the main reasons I think a lot of people don't do video, is that vulnerability of exposing yourself in video to some people you know and some people you don't know, and being open to that type of criticism. And human nature really fears rejection, and so making ourselves vulnerable through video is something that we all want to avoid.
Yeah, I agree. I think the other thing that's kind of interesting, you always, there's this initial kind of response to not liking the way that we look on a video, not liking the way that we sound, also not liking the way that we look in photos. Mm-hmm. This is a psychological phenomenon. It's referred to, I believe, as the mirror principle, M-E-R-E. There was some research that was done, I believe, in the 60s that basically identified that human beings psychologically develop affinity to or a liking to things that are familiar. And so what happens is that the face of ourselves that we are most familiar with is the one that we see in the mirror. We see it daily. So you classically train yourself to be like, this is what I look like, this is what I look like, is your mirror reflection, right? Similarly, the voice that you hear is the one that you hear through your own ears, okay? And so you're trained that this is how my voice sounds and this is what my face, you know, looks like. Then all of a sudden you get this kind of rude awakening that, oh my gosh, it's actually flipped and my voice sounds differently. And that is a normal human psychological phenomenon to dislike that. Because you've been trained to, you know, associate with something that's more familiar. So even that in and of itself can be a real challenge to, you know, getting video. That's why so many people say, hey, get over yourself and do it. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. Like, I'll watch this Facebook video back. I'll be like, oh my gosh, how did I do? How did I look? Is that the right side of my face? Do I really sound like that? Like, how many people are like,
do you want to switch sides of the table?
do I really sound like that? Do I really look like that?
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, we've got that going against us as well, which can be challenging.
Yeah, and the really interesting thing there is everyone, like, I know what you sound like and I know what you look like. I know what you sound like and I know what you look like. I see and talk to you both every single day. And so having, everyone already knows what you look like.
The only one it's weird to
is you.
Scientifically is you.
Yeah.
Everyone else already perceives, they already hear you that way, they see you that way, and so it's fascinating. It's a fascinating.
And to close that down, you know, obviously Ashley was talking about, when I recorded that video, I didn't expect that it would go in front of 160,000 people.
No.
But if you don't record the video, no one sees it. Right? And so you're not making impressions, you're not leading with value, you're not giving education, you're not generating new leads, you're not converting opportunities if you don't do it. So do it. And as you said, bombbomb.com/webinar, I think you can sign up for that webinar or watch a recording of it.
Yeah, and like I got in a fight with my curling iron this week, guys. I burned my face, and I'm here on Facebook Live.
Look at that.
You know?
Come on. I have not that's not a struggle of mine.
It's not.
No.
You've never gotten in a fight
I've made
with a
some
curling
other
iron.
mistakes. They tend to, never mind.
Okay.
Well, we actually have a clip of Ashley as well. She has been helping us with mean tweets. So let's get that clip.
We didn't talk about that.
Yeah. Well, not mean tweets.
Yeah.
For the Bomb Bomb mailbag. And this is about sending videos to your friends and relatives. So let's get that moving.
Mailbag! So here's one from John, who writes, I am scared to use it because if 4 people diss me, I am out. Well, John, I'm not quite sure of the significance of the number 4, unless you had 4 really mean older brothers or something. But here's the thing, in all honesty, if you send videos, a great way to relieve the pressure if you're feeling like you may get negative feedback is to start sending to people who already know you and like you. Those are your A-list customers, and chances are they're the best group of people to give you positive feedback that you can use moving forward. So I would start there and send 4 videos and just let us know how it turns out for you.
Mailbag!
Mailbag!
So we'll try to turn them educational.
Yeah, definitely. If we can. Always take that opportunity.
So one of the inspirations was, I don't know how many people are familiar with Jimmy Kimmel's mean tweets. Now, we're not exclusively going to be reading mean things out of the mailbag, but Jimmy Kimmel has celebrities sometimes read tweets about themselves, and it's highly entertaining. That was one of the inspirations for this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a good thing. I think we should probably get into a couple questions. So we get a few questions pretty often at Bomb Bomb, and I thought it would be really interesting to hear you guys answer them live because you're like ready for these questions. You get them. So the first question is, why should I use Bomb Bomb if I could just send the video myself?
Okay, so my first response typically is to ask a question back, which is to say, how many videos are you sending right now yourself? And the answer is typically, like none. And it's because it's cumbersome, right? And so a few reasons you would use Bomb Bomb, and there are many, but a few reasons you would use Bomb Bomb instead of trying to do it yourself. Actually, you know what? I'll start this way. Here's one way to send video in email. You record a video somehow. You record on your phone or you record on your webcam or whatever, and you save and you have a file, a video file. So then you need to host it somewhere. So then you maybe upload it to YouTube. And you could just send a link to YouTube, but that's not great. So you want to make it look like there's a video in the email. So you screenshot video, and then bonus points if you fake a play button over the top of that screenshot, and then you drop it into the email. But that's just a picture in an email, so you need to link that back over to the video. So you take the link in YouTube and turn the picture into a link, and then you write some text in there and say, you know, click to watch my video. And then as soon as people do that, now they're out in YouTube watching your video. And what happens at the end of a YouTube video?
Can't see who did it.
Well, you can't tell who watched it, but then you have to use the link click if your email system tracks clicks. You have to use the click as a proxy for watching the video. But YouTube's whole job is to keep you in YouTube, and so now they present you with a bunch more videos to watch here, a bunch more down the side, and you have no control over what any of that is. So that's just one way to describe a do-it-yourself process. So we eliminate all those steps. We make it really easy to record and send in one pass. So you can open up the mobile app, hit record the video. It says, what do you want to do next? Do you want to email it, text it, share it to social media, or add it to your BombBomb library? I want to email it. I type in the email address or the list name, and I can send it in any number of designs, right? So I eliminated a bunch of those steps, and now the video experience is nice and clean and professional for you. It's not played out in some Wild West YouTube scenario. It's played inside your wrapper, inside your branding, adjacent to your call to action, adjacent to your contact information. And as you already alluded to, you can track all the results as well, so you know exactly when people are opening, clicking, playing, what they're clicking on, etc. So you can follow up more effectively as well. So kind of the high level is you can do it yourself. But I was just on a podcast last week, and the guy said, I asked him at the beginning of it, hey, why'd you reach out to me? Like, how did you learn about BombBomb? And he said, well, actually, I thought I started typing an email, and it was going to be like a 5-point education/argument for my client. He's a mortgage guy. And he said, well, I'd just rather describe it in a video. So he got out his phone and hit record, started talking to the person, went through all 5 of the points to describe them, which is generally a much easier way for most people to communicate. Most of us aren't great writers. We're much better at just speaking to people. And so he records this video, and then he hits email, and it says, file too large. So then he went to Google and found us. And he's like, oh, this is amazing. So now he just records and sends all in one pass. And so that's just an example of some of the problems that we solve, among many. There's a lot more going on there, but you can do it yourself. It's just more cumbersome. You don't necessarily get the tracking, and you're going to waste a lot of time doing it. And so we have customers who've sent thousands and thousands of video. Our top mortgage guy sent over 7,000 videos now. That guy's just on a haul.
Wow.
And our top real estate guy is at like 7,800 videos. Our top salesperson overall is one of our sales team members, Danny Dirksen, at like 9,500 videos. And so I say, you never send the 9,500th video. A, if it takes a lot of time to do, you would just never get there. And B, you also wouldn't do it if the 9,499 you sent before that did not give you a better result than if you had just relied on the same plain typed out text you've been relying on pretty much every day, all day of your professional life. And so you can do it yourself, but I would discourage you from doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. That's definitely something I see quite often. I'm sure the sales reps hear it often, so I figured might as well bring it up.
Sure.
Here's another one. This one probably would be good for you. I never have time to use it.
Oh, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
We joke, sometimes we joke internally, like with a question back that sounds something like, so you don't have time to make more money? Is that what
Right.
you're telling me?
Right.
You know, I guess you would ask the question about why don't you have the time to use it? Or what, there's some sort of preconceived notion that probably has to do with kind of this process that you just described in the first place that says that I don't have time to use it. We tend to speak better. We tend to be better in person than sitting down and typing in an email. So the easy way to think about this is, if you're spending time with written communication, you will have time to do it. So just factually, you already have time to do it. So what's interesting is that a lot of people that say they don't have the time to use it have never used it, or they aren't using it. And so you got to unpack that one a little bit. For us, in my mind, it's about inserting. We need to talk to you about what's the best way for you to use BombBomb, because BombBomb's a big product. And for some people, it's going to mean holding out their mobile phone. For other people, it's going to mean logging into their Gmail account. For other people, it's going to be rolling into Salesforce or another tool like that. So understanding where we can get simple video into a workflow that's already familiar to you, that's going to really cut down on the time. And if you're not sure where that is, give us a call so we can have a conversation with you and help you sort that out. But in essence, we communicate better verbally than we do, in this kind of typed out format in many scenarios. And
we do it much faster as well. So like we speak 4 times faster than we type on average. So yes, absolutely. And you're also sending a piece of communication that's much more rich than typing out some paragraphs. Like your intention isn't necessarily going to be clear unless you're a really good writer. And people reading it aren't necessarily going to unpack everything that you intended there. Whereas, since we've been walking on 2 feet and 2 legs, we've communicated face to face. It's only been over the last handful of generations that we've really broken that apart.
Sure.
And so it's a much more rich piece of communication. It's going to do a better job for you. So the 3 things that you just said there, I want to recap it. 1, you need to know what your triggers are. Like, when do I go and use a video? So we've done a webinar about that called The Top 10 Times Video Says It Better Than Text. Like, who am I? What am I trying to get done? And when is video going to serve me best? Like, what is the trigger in my day to say I'm going to go send a video?
Right.
The next one is the process piece. Is like, am I going to do this with the Salesforce integration? Am I going to do this in my Gmail inbox? Am I going to do it from my smartphone or whatever? Like, getting comfortable with the process itself and the way the software works. And then the third one is one that we spent 5 minutes on earlier, which is actually getting comfortable looking the camera in the lens and talking to someone as if he or she is there with you, or as if you're speaking to a group of people, and just getting comfortable there. But once you check 2 or 3 of those boxes, you're off and running. And if you incorporate it, you can find lots more opportunities to do it once you find 1 or 2 ways to start doing it.
Sure. I think there's something to be said too about inertia, right? You're changing behavior.
Yeah.
So that tension that you feel as you change behavior, as you build, the inertia to continue doing this, that doesn't stay. No one would use video as an effective, no one would send 9,000 videos if that sense of that change or that transition stayed. It's just a matter of the fact that, you're changing something that, boy, I'm really used to sitting down on my computer or pulling up, the messaging app on my phone and thumbing or typing this out. And so it's a little bit of a change in behavior. There's inertia behind it, but if you can push through that, you're going to differentiate yourself. You're going to find it very easy to do, and you're going to find your communication much more effective.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we should probably show your clip of Mailbag.
Okay.
To end it out, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so this one was one of our first one shot. Is it the Realtor's Money one?
I think so.
We can speak to this one pretty well, so let's roll that.
Cool. Mailbag! So this one's a little bit cynical, but I get it. Ben writes, just another company trying to get rich off Realtor's hard work. That's fair, I get it. There are a lot of fly-by-night companies. There are a lot of companies that overpromise and underdeliver, and BombBomb is not one of those. In addition to giving you a chance, absolutely free for 2 weeks, to get in there and try BombBomb out for yourself. We also have a usage guarantee. If you actually sign up for BombBomb, you use it, and you don't win more opportunities, however you define that, we'll give you 100% of your money back. We're very straightforward. We're easy to work with. Almost our entire company is right here in our Colorado Springs office. But more importantly, specific to the realtor comment, we've deeply committed to the real estate community over the past 5 years. We do tons of training and education. We've produced hours of content to help you build relationships and communicate more clearly and win more sales opportunities through our blog, through our YouTube channel, through Facebook. If you feel like you've been burned before by other companies, software, hardware, direct mail, whatever these companies are selling you as a real estate professional, I get it if you're cynical, but BombBomb's not one of those companies. If you ever want to talk to us, pick up the phone and call us, 866-209-4602. You're going to get the phone answered by someone here in our Colorado Springs office, and we want to learn about you, about your business, and see if this might be a good fit for you.
Mailbag!
Mailbag! Yeah. Rich.
Here we are.
Rich. So I mean, like, my tendency is to get really passive aggressive. I'm trying, I approach these. I watched some of your early ones because we'll be releasing these. Like, I might take a more balance that personal and professional a little bit more. Like it's like we're not gonna win if we're just out here trying to get rich off anyone's hard work, whether it's real estate, mortgage, small business, nonprofit, automotive. It doesn't matter. Like we don't like this is a renewing thing, and we have a usage guarantee. Like if we're not serving people effectively and we're just here to get rich off other people's hard work,
we're out of business.
Right. Yeah, we have to provide value in return, and so I feel like we do that. We try. We work really hard at it, and getting your feedback, and now through Mailbag, giving it back to you. It's just one of the many ways that we do it. So.
Yeah, it's too bad that that's the perception, right? The reality is that we're solving problems for real estate. That's why, in a number of ways, that's why we bring the product the way that we do, is because, you know, we have relationships, personal relationships across the board in the real estate community, and we hear like, hey, these are some of the things I'm really struggling with. These are some of the challenges. I don't have time. I don't stand out in a noisy world. Video's real. I know everyone's telling me I should be doing it, but it's really hard to do it, right? And it's like, okay, I mean, we literally go close the door and get 10 of the smartest people you can find in the room being like, how can we solve this? How can we make this better? Because that's just good business. So
yeah, and we're celebrating real estate agents that are doing really well with video as well. We're going to be releasing our real estate video influencers guide soon, and we spent so much time
it was fun, but it was a lot of time.
It was a ton of work. We watched so many videos, and we saw a ton of people that are like killing it. And we're going to be showcasing them and what they're doing and putting the spotlight on them, and it's all about, you know, getting the industry a new view. And
yeah, was another thing we've done that I don't think had ever been done before this summer. In August and September, I think, or August and October, we did Battle of the Real Estate CRMs, where we invited a number of CRMs onto a live webinar. Like we were able to bring basically direct competitors all onto one session for the benefit of the realtor to hear from each company directly, hearing answers to the same questions. We did the same thing with kind of the what we called platforms, kind of the all-in-one real estate platforms that you know, it's CRM, but it also has website, lead gen, and some other things on top of it. So anyway, we're doing a lot. It's fun, and we're trying to solve people's problems with them and for them.
Yeah, and we're hoping to evolve the Mailbag. It's a new idea, and we like going live, so hopefully we'll keep going live and bring other team members on and showcase, you know, what their feedback is to your feedback. So please,
and just know, like, as you, like, your voice doesn't go into some folder in some office here at BombBomb. We literally project it to the entire company. And we look for those themes and those trends, so that extra few seconds that you spend, that you take out of the limited amount of time that you have to give us that valuable feedback, that does not fall on deaf ears at BombBomb. It's something we take very seriously. We're super passionate about it. So next time we ask, don't hesitate to throw it out. Or if you got something on your mind while you're watching this, you're like, hey, you know, the team at BombBomb really needs to hear this. You know, send us an email, give us a call. That stuff's really, really important to us.
I mean, don't send us mean things just to hear us react on this show.
Because we may.
Because we might. But awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Facebook, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, we'll be releasing these soon, so be on the lookout and have a happy holiday week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.